Hi and welcome to Manic Monday's video. Tomorrow I'm going to go out. I'm going to do the comparison of fishing, my style of fishing, which is lure fishing, and I use these Tenru rods, lure rods with a Shimano reel, and then fishing the conventional way, which is this is a Dowa Kanzaki 12 to 20 with a Pen Fathom 15 reel, and using a long anti-tangle boom with a snap swivel. If I show you what I do sometimes is I'll have this is just a bit of Celotex that I get from building site, it's insulation, and I'll have my lures already clipped on here, made up, so in theory they should just come off of this board like so. Let's put that down. So yeah, what I've got is I've just got a small barrel swivel. This is 30 pound fluorocarbon, and I have it about, I suppose it's about 7, nearly 8 foot. So if I put that on my table here, you'll see it roughly, I do them so they roughly touch the door, but yeah, it's about 8 foot. So all I do is I put that directly onto my snap swivel, so I have a snap swivel already on my boom, and then I just connect that to that like so, make sure it's clipped in, and then generally I like to fish it with about a 6 ounce sort of torpedo lead. Sometimes you'll have to go to an 8, sometimes a 10, but I generally like to use about a 6 ounce. So see if I've got one of them in here. Yeah, so this is the lead I normally use. The boatman at my fishing club makes these up. They're quite cheaper than buying them in the shop. So that's it there. So boom, lead, and then about an 8 foot trace. I like sidewinders, and this is just a black one. I'll be honest, my favourite is a Skerry. They're sort of like a green sand eely looking thing. They seem to work for me. And then basically what you do with that, when you're over the wreck, you drop that down, and what I like to do is I hit the bottom and then I start winding fast, because that, by the time you hit the bottom, that trace is already up in the water about 8 foot. So if you wind fast to start with, that by the time the leg comes up, your lure is going to literally do a loop and hopefully not catch in the wreck and go up. But I do wind reasonably fast, and I generally come up about 20-25 turns, and then I'll drop back down again. I think that you know, I've never made any secret of it. I think that you will probably find the fish more quicker and cover more ground using the conventional method with you know, the 8 foot trace, but what I like to do is, once I've actually found the fish with the sidewinder, then I'll switch over to the lure rod, and then I can literally concentrate in that one area. Once I actually find where the fish are, then I know exactly where I'm going to go, and I'll donk that lure straight on their nose. And with my conventional rod, you may have seen in a few of the other videos, but I quite like these Savage Gear sand eels, and these I think these are 100 grams, quite nice, like a mackerel colour one, and sort of a greeny coloured, seem to work. And you sort of know how I do these. I just really just clip them on these fast clips that don't always prove to be fast, but yeah, there you go, and clip them in. And then what I'll do with this is I normally have about 18 inches of fluorocarbon, 30 again, which just stops it rubbing in the wreck or on the reef. As soon as braid touches a wreck or a reef, it will fray and give. With the fluorocarbon, it gives you a little bit more of a chance. And on this conventional rod, I normally have about sort of the length of the rod round the reel, a couple of turns of fluorocarbon, and this is connected just to 30-pound normal braid. But let's see what the comparison is. Hope you enjoy the video. Thanks for watching Manic Mondays. Please like and subscribe. Morning, right, we just got in Sovereign Harbour Lock. It's up at 7. Me and a mate of mine are going to go out today. We're going to go and do a bit of wreck fishing. It's quite a big tide, so low water I think is up at 8, so we're going to go about 17 mile off first. So let's get out this lock and get out to a wreck. Right, I'm going to set up this conventional rod. So what I've got a Dower Kanzaki 12 to 20 with a Pen Fathom 15 on, and I've got about 6-8 foot of fluorocarbon on this, which just stops it catching in the wreck. And what I use is a long boom. These are homemade ones, only cheap. You make them up yourself, and this stops the trace tangling. And then what I do is I put a bead on, just an orange bead, if I can get it on, and then quite a strong snap swivel, and I just literally do a 5 times round through the loop. So that's the boom, and then I'm going to try a 6. I'd rather have it lighter than heavier and see how we get on. And my favourite sidewinder, well, my favourite lure is a sidewinder for this sort of fishing, but I'm not that prepared. But I've got them sort of rigged up on this Celotex, so it just makes it easier. Probably won't come out now, but normally you can just unwrap it, and these are already made up, and that is a scary. So let's put that on. Right, so I might go down with that first, or I might try my lure rod, so I'm all set up on both. And on this one I'm using a Savage Gear 100 gram, like a greeny sparkly thing. So we use that. I'll get that ready. It looks like we're ebbing, even though we should be sort of on slack water, but I'll move us round and we'll try a drift over it. Right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go down with the sidewinder first. So I'm about 100 foot away from this wreck, and what I do is I go to the bottom, wait until I hit. Okay, I'm on the bottom, and then I wind reasonably fast, about 20 turns, and then I'll drop back down. So the wreck's just coming up now. It's starting to show a few fish down there. We're doing about 1.6 knots, so not too bad. We're just coming over the back edge of it now. I'll say the wind actually is quite strong out here today. Feels it. It is supposed to be dropping off a bit. Right, we've just come over it, so we'll go back round. I ain't fished this way for ages. I go out with an old boy sometimes. Stop it, Skip. And he normally does about 40 turns, and if I don't get him on 20 and he's getting them on 40, then I adjust. But normally I just do about sort of 20 turns. I tend to find the pollock are down much lower, you know, at the bottom. That's why I find it effective with my lure rods normally. That seem to be going down fine with the 6-ounce lead. I'd rather use lighter than heavier myself. Doing it this conventional way, like with the 8-foot trace and the boom, you do cover more area, where with lure fishing you're just really targeting that column. But we'll see what's more effective. I'll switch around when we start to flood. I'll switch around and go back to my normal way. Yeah, I haven't got this J braid on this reel, but it's quite handy sometimes because it's marked every metre, and you can, once you've counted your first 25 turns or whatever, then you can just look for the colour change and you can see where you need to be, saves you keep counting. But you know, generally I do 20 turns roughly, but it's not showing a lot on here today. Trouble is my patience don't last, and I just end up moving from one to another, and then they start to feed, you know. You go and then they'll be on here. You'll find someone else comes on the wreck and they go, oh, we had loads there. You in? Gaz has just got one in. And what's that using?
I am on a red gill, pink red gill.
Oh well, still a fish. Just show that one to that camera if you can. Not quite the target species, but fish is a fish. We're off that now, so we'll go back round. Right, I'm going to switch back over to my normal style of fishing and have a go. Right, so that's 100 grams Savage Gear sand eel on here at the minute, which seems to be going down fine. Alright, just make sure my clutch is not too tight. Yeah, that's about it. And we're about 50 foot away from the wreck now, so I've just come on the back edge of this tip, so we've sort of generally worked over this wreck but not all the way through it. I've just sort of picked points along it just to see if I can see where the fish are holding. You know, sometimes a lot of the fish don't necessarily have to be on the wreck, you know, they can be just outside or on the scour or wherever. I mean, I generally do tend to target the wreck area. I can see a few on the bottom here. Yeah, this handle's lovely because in the cold you can hold it better, you know.
Yeah, I've got another reel which has one of them round handles. It's really comfortable.
Well, I didn't think I'd like it, I'll be honest. It's great. Alright, let's go back round. What I've done is I've just flicked that lure up the boat a bit, so by the time it gets down to the bottom I'm sort of level with my engine. It's definitely less of a workout doing it the conventional way. You know, you've only really got to drop down and just wind up 20-30 turns. This is a bit more of a workout. I'm just letting the rocking of the boat work the lure. So the wind is dropping a bit, but not a lot. Now we're slowing right down now on our drift. We're sort of doing about 0.6 of a knot, so I reckon we're coming to slack water, like we were talking about earlier. Normally maybe 40 minutes, 50 minutes sometimes different. You know, the further you get out, it's, you know, sometimes an hour different with the tide. So if we get on slack water, I'll just push ourselves. If we can find the fish, we'll push ourselves into the middle and hold there, and then when we start moving we'll get on a better drift. But this wreck does fish best on the flood. I thought it would have been moving by now, but there you go. Well, this is better than laying bricks, isn't it? Well, we'll give it a little while and then we'll move. Is it? Yeah, we just thought we were just going to move and Gaz has got one. On a net? Great.
Right on the bottom of that one.
Nice. Yeah, nice healthy pollock on a pink. Oh. Yeah, on a pink sidewinder. Probably £5-6. Nice. Oh well, just about to go and then you catch. Yep. I don't think it's any size. I'll take it. I was just saying that my line was going right out. I might switch my lure around, but then you hit a fish. It's still working. It's just quite a way away from the boat, but whether this is just a pouting, I don't know. Doesn't feel anything massive, probably a mackerel. Oh, I don't know, it's start fighting now. Just want to move your line. Probably won't need the net. I don't want to lose it though, but oh, good, little bass. Oh well, quite nice out in the surf. Yeah, just a small bass. Sorry, that's quite nice to get. Cool, it's warm. What do you want to do? You want to do one more drift? Alright, so just had a little schooly bass, but I noticed my lure was going right out, so I've switched to this bigger rod now, and I've got a 140 puffin on here, Savage gear, and this will just hold bottom a bit better. What I'll do before you go down, Gaz, I'll move us because we're coming right off there. Oh, I can notice the heavier lure. Yeah. Yeah. I tried this rod the other day and it was where you're not used to it, you know. Right, let's go back round so I can see roughly where I'm going. And we are actually starting to nearly flood now, so you in? Always makes you wonder whether you've straightened your hook or
pulled your lure.
Yeah. That's why it's called fishing, not catching, you know. Have you? Nice. Gaz is straight in. Ah, a little bass. Where was that, on the bottom?
That was about 8 turns up, that one.
So we've gone back roughly on the same drift, perhaps a little bit over. Right, so we've just moved, come onto a big wreck. We seem to be drifting a bit less here. So I'm going to put down an 8 ounce and I'm going to try this conventional way with the 8-foot boom. At the minute, Gaz has had 2 and I've had 1, so we're not really sure what's working the best at the minute, but hopefully we'll get a few on here, and I'll switch around from a lure rod and to a conventional and just see what works better. Oh look, straight in the wreck. Oh mate, oh well. Well, I managed to get my lure out and Gaz lost his, so he's just tied on, so we're just doing the second drift now. And we seem to be drifting pretty textbook across it now. We'll just work our way all the way along this. Depending on the ratio of your reel, I mean, I tend to reel quite fast. If you see Gaz is reeling slower, I think his reel's faster than mine. I'm just really going 20 turns. I can see some fish down on the bottom, so I'm trying to just get that weight down there. And as soon as I hit bottom, then I start to reel. Yeah, so just coming in a couple of mile in, the wind's dropped off here and the tide's moving a bit slower. It's a bit more bearable. Now we've just come over an area on the sounder just on this wreck and we see some fish holding, so we've just gone back over our line. So we're just going to try it now, showing quite a few fish down there. But there's a load down there, look. This is a wreck we're going over and they seem to be holding in this area here. So we're just going to go back round and see if we can get on that same line. Yeah, I think that's a fish there now. It's taking it. So you just keep winding and that fish will take it. I don't think it's very big, but there's something, whether I fouled hook to pout. No, oh dear. That's a fish of a lifetime. So yeah, that's a monster of the deep there. Look at that, blimey. It's a bit embarrassing. You can feel that though. Well, I was waiting for it to keep diving, you know, like you can feel it on there.
What amazes me is the lure's probably an inch or so long.
Yeah, it was. And at the minute I am actually going around the wreck each time, so I'm not spooking these fish, because you never know if there's any bass on here or whatever. But when once I've worked this wreck, then I'll start to do a few shortcuts and come back over my trails when hopefully I'm pretty sure the fish are holding where we've already been, but I want to work the whole of this wreck first. Sometimes they're a bit finicky and they won't always take, so we've got about another sort of 8-9 drifts I suppose, and then we'll cover it, and then we'll go back and see exactly, find out exactly if they're on the area where we thought, you know, they were to start with. Right, if I just show you the area, let's just go onto this chart. If I show you this area here, see, we can see we've worked the whole of this wreck. We're up here now, and the fish seem to be holding down here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to steam back round and go into our original, where we sort of saw where the fish were holding, and we'll try there and concentrate on that area. Right, I'm into one now. So you just don't want to strike, you just keep winding. I don't think this is any sort of size, but I'll take it. It's fighting a bit now, but it's quite a deep wreck, this one. Oh dear. Small bass, but little bass on a sidewinder.
But that's a fish on.
Nice. Any size? Oh, spiky bass.
Spiky bass.
Perhaps that's all it is then, a little bass down there.
Quite possibly, yeah. Well, that's two now, isn't it?
Yeah.
You had one, I've had one.
I'd like to push us into this bit in here.
Yeah.
We'll see how this plays here, where we are. Okay, so yesterday I went out, we didn't really get a load of fish, but we did try the comparison between my lure rod fishing and the conventional way, and to be honest with you, it was pretty much fish for fish, so the jury's out on that verdict at the minute. But I think for an easier day's fishing, if you're fishing deep wrecks and whatever, the conventional way with the 8-foot trace is a more relaxing day. I must admit, once I find the fish, I like to use my lure setup, and not only that, I spent a fortune on these new reels and whatever, and I do like to use my rods. But thank you so much for watching the video. See you next Monday. Please subscribe.